So, when I was 12 years old, I got my first horse. Getting my first horse was a huge learning experience for me and such an important part in my life. I had ridden horses when I was younger, and I took a break from it for a little while, and then I started to get back into it. My mom started getting involved in it too, and during that time was when she decided that I was going to get my horse. I was so excited and so happy that I would finally have a horse of my own. When the day finally came, we drove 5 hours up to an auction in Ocala. When we got there, we looked around a little bit and met some of the horses that were there, and when the auction finally started, we sat down and started looking at some of the horses my mom and my trainer were interested in. They had their eye out for a couple of horses we would be interested in and bid on some of the horses, but we were unsuccessful because the bids went too high and were out of our price range. When this one horse came, my trainer bid on him, but she didn't plan on getting any horses, let alone going home with any horses. So she was hoping that she didn't win the bid. When the auctioneer announced that she did, the panic set in a little bit. She didn't know what to do. She didn't want to keep him, and when she told the workers at the auction that she didn't want him, they told her that once you win, you have to pay. My trainer wasn't sure what to do, and that's when my mom stepped in and said, "I'll buy him." After that, we went to go meet him at his stall along with his previous owner, and we asked him about the horse. My mom asked the man who rode him during the auction if he would be a good horse for kids, meaning me. The man looked at my mom and said, "This is not a horse for kids. He needs somebody who knows what they're doing or a professional." It made us kind of nervous and hesitant, but we went through with it anyway. We decided to see how things would plan out. When we got home, my oldest brother took him out of the trainer because my mom was afraid to let me near him. I had begged and begged my mom to let me handle him, and she never did. About a day went by, and I kept asking my mom, and finally she said yes, and I was able to walk him around in a grass paddock, and I let him graze. He was so sweet, and I was so excited and in disbelief that he was my horse and that I got to ride him. I remember being so eager to be able to finally get on him, but before I was able to, I had to let him settle in the new barn and meet the new people and get used to his new environment. When the day came that I was able to finally ride him, I was so excited. I got him out of his stall, took as much time brushing him off, and was so cautious when putting the pad and saddle and any other gear that he needed. I was still relearning how to ride, and he still needed some training. When I finally sat down on him to ride, I was so nervous. My trainer told me to gently tap him with my heels and make him walk. I was so happy when he started walking around, even though I knew it wasn't much. After a couple of lessons, I was able to start trotting him. I was so happy because things were going so well, and my trainer wanted us to take things slow with him. After a couple more lessons, we built more of a connection, and I fell in love with him each day more and more. I wanted to be able to canter him so badly, but I knew that we had to take things slowly in order for it to work out. On the day I finally came and was able to canter him, I was so excited. My heart was beating fast, and I was scared. I had done so many lessons of walking and trotting with him, waiting for this day to come. My trainer looked at me and said, "Gently squeeze him with your heels and ask him to canter." I was nervous and wasn't sure how things were going to go. So when I did, he sped up quickly and my trainer told me to stop. I was so happy that he did what I asked him, but I was upset that he didn't do it the way I wanted him to do it. A couple more lessons and each time he would get too fast, and each time I would get more and more frustrated with him. I tried my best not to, but it was hard because he just wasn't doing what I wanted him to. My trainer kept telling me we will work on it, but I didn't want to have to work on it. I just wanted him to do it. A few more lessons went by, and he kept getting a little better. I would still get frustrated, but I was happy that I was still able to ride him. Although we were making pretty good progress on other things, my trainer decided that we should take a break from cantering. I was upset because I had been wanting to do it, and it was what I was most excited about. I wasn't happy, and time after time again, I would get frustrated with him. I didn't want to do the same thing over and over and over. Then one day, I rode him, and my trainer had canceled the lesson, so it was just me and my mom watching. It was the same thing again, just walking and trotting. I had gotten bored, and I decided to ask my mom if I could canter him. I looked at her and said, "Mom, can I try to canter him?" She was hesitant, but she said, "Yes, but just be careful." My mom took out her phone and began recording. I took a deep breath in and patted him on the neck. I talked to him and told him that he was a good boy and that we can both do it. I told myself that even if we didn't get it, it was okay because he is still learning and so am I. I took another deep breath and asked him to canter gently. I was expecting to have to pull back on the reins and ask him to slow down or stop, but instead he cantered in a beautiful circle, and I was so happy that I almost started crying tears of joy. I kept telling my mom, "Did you see that? Did you see it? Did you see what he did? He was so good." My mom was videoing, and as soon as I finished riding him, I put him back up and I watched the video over and over. I was so happy that we had finally made progress on what I had been wanting to do for so long. I realized that all he needed was a little bit of love and some extra confidence. Thanks to my horse Blackjack, who I still have now, I learned a lot of loving, confidence, and most importantly, patience. He taught me that good things take time. Now, when I go to ride him, although he still gets fast sometimes, I know that he is amazing and he needs time and that we will get through it.